Missed by 8 Inches by Lionel D'Souza is a saga of two friends from a remote Indian town, whose journey leads them to manage U.S. Army facilities in a war zone. The core of the narrative is the tragic demise of one friend and the wrongful accusation of the other for leading him to his death. More than a story of loss and injustice, the book is a testament to the unyielding strength of their friendship, detailing their solidarity, shared laughter, and mutual support amid danger. It is a tribute to the unsung civilian contractors who work defenseless in war zones, sacrificing their lives, and whose stories of courage and sacrifice are often untold. Readers will journey with the two friends, witnessing the strength of their bond and the weight of their sacrifices. Please watch the previous chapters to help better understand Chapter 8. The narrator's journey begins in Saudi Arabia, Chapter 1, where a cricket match introduces his Indian colleagues and the complex bond with his friend, Andrew. This friendship is immediately defined by broken trust, first shown in a school day prank, Chapter 2, and reinforced later when Andrew is helped to get a job but again betrays the narrator, Chapter 4. The narrator's dramatic entry into Saudi Arabia, Chapter 3, involves a chaotic customs check, ultimately resolved by an act of unexpected kindness. While his personal loyalty is tested, a tense encounter with a Saudi Mutawa priest leads to an unexpected display of cross-cultural hospitality, Chapter 5. The narrative pivots dramatically when the narrator accepts a job in Kuwait supporting the Australian Defence Force, shifting his life toward a war zone, Chapter 6. We are now moving to Chapter 8, titled New Assignment from Missed by 8 Inches, authored by Lionel D'Souza. In late 2001, Neil was assigned a new role to oversee operations in Afghanistan at two bases, one for UN peacekeeping forces and another for the U.S. Army. Neil transitioned his responsibilities to Richard, who succeeded him in his former position. On the eve of his departure, Neil approached me with a proposal to join him in Afghanistan, to which I agreed. A week following Neil's departure, he contacted me to arrange my arrival in Afghanistan by the first week of January 2002, having already coordinated this transition with Richard. I informed Richard about the call, and he acknowledged it, expressing that he would miss me, as Neil had already briefed him. My travel was arranged from Dubai, the new origin point specified in my contract, which differed from Kuwait in several ways. In addition to the Kuwait contract, the additions were: there would be no exposure to the outside world of Afghanistan unless escorted or sanctioned by the Army. Army cargo planes would transport me in and out of Afghanistan based on a set schedule. My employment contract would be updated, reflecting a new agreement, was promoted to the position of base facilities lead. The work schedule was organized into 3 weeks of duty followed by 2 weeks off. During the 3 weeks on duty, I had to be available 24/7, without keeping track of hours, would receive a Dubai residence visa, and after my work schedule, I would return to Dubai for 2 weeks before traveling back. 2 additional responsibilities were added to my scope of work: surge management, which involved supporting the influx of hundreds to thousands of soldiers arriving for drills or events or action; deceased body collection, which entailed retrieving fallen soldiers from the field; facilitating lab tests, embalming with medical support, and arranging transportation back to their origin. I was responsible for managing either of the two bases, Kandahar and Kabul. Travel between bases required a convoy with escorts for security. Upon receiving my Dubai residence visa, I traveled there in early January 2002. I joined my bachelor cousins who resided in Dubai, sharing an apartment with them. After contacting the local base office and getting my visa stamped with the support of the Dubai Personnel Relations Officer, I was prepared for my journey. On January 7, 2002, I embarked on my inaugural journey to Afghanistan aboard an Air Force cargo plane. I traveled by bus from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, arriving at the U.S. Air Force Base. With my identity card in hand, I encountered no difficulties entering the base and boarding the flight. The process of travel seemed hassle-free because there was no need for immigration checks or passport stamping. The base identified credentials using fingerprint scans, eye scans, and chip confirmation engraved on identity cards. My duty roster also served as confirmation. The cargo plane was unlike regular aircraft, equipped with benches aligned with the plane's body instead of seats. We were provided with earmuffs to mitigate the considerable noise. The cargo comprised 5 tankers, a substantial amount of ammunition, and drinking water. 12 of us were on the flight, which received clearance for takeoff from the Abu Dhabi base. The flight duration to Afghanistan was 3 hours. I was filled with excitement about my new assignment. We touched down at Kandahar Air Base at 7 p.m., and as I disembarked, I spotted Neil awaiting my arrival. Approaching him, he welcomed me to Afghanistan, stating, "You are Richard here, and you will manage the Kandahar site. You will also oversee all the operations for the site as needed. I entrust you with the overall responsibility." Although I felt nervous, the excitement for my new role was substantial. Neil imparted a memorable piece of advice: "Unless you dirty your hands, you won't learn. So first, dirty your hands, and you will understand success." In comparison to Kuwait, my team in Kandahar was larger, and the base itself was more expansive. To my astonishment, the base housed 35,000 soldiers at any given time, with females comprising 10% to 15% of that population. The base was a hub for various agencies, including the Royal Naval Reserve Force, U.S. Secret Service, Mossad operatives, Army contractors, and soldiers from diverse battalions. The following day, I acquainted myself with my team, reviewed the rosters, grasped the scope of work, and the staff distribution. To my amazement, there was a total of 960 facility staff members supporting the base in various capacities. The base featured 2 distinct cafeterias. One catered to Army personnel and the other to Army contractors and facility staff. The staffing levels were adequate, with a buffer of staff always present on site for emergencies and unexpected surges. On the 5th day after assuming command, the base was struck by a widespread fever, incapacitating nearly all facility staff with illness and antibiotics. Early that morning, a company of 23 soldiers departed as scheduled. As the lead and controller of the base, with Neil in his office, I was making my rounds when my walkie-talkie crackled with an urgent call. It was an alert for the facilities team to prepare for the return of the company, which had encountered hostilities, leaving deceased soldiers at the site. Our duty was to retrieve the bodies, but the designated team was down with fever. As the leader, I stepped up to support, requesting an escort and conveyance while awaiting the encounter's coordinates. Accompanied by a few housekeeping and hospitality staff, we boarded trucks, equipped with body bags and tools for 10 bodies, uncertain of the exact number we would find. This was my initial encounter with deceased soldiers, a grim reality of conflict. We drove nearly 20 kilometers, and as we neared the GPS coordinates, smoke became visible. Approaching the site, we discovered an overturned Army GMC pickup truck, and 7 bodies scattered around. 2 soldiers emerged from their concealed positions to secure the area. The sight was harrowing, with bodies charred and disfigured, and it was the first time I witnessed the gruesome aftermath of combat. Overwhelmed, I succumbed to a moment of weakness. However, I composed myself, understanding the necessity of leadership in such dire circumstances. I directed the team to meticulously collect and load the remains, a process that involved gathering every fragment to ensure dignity in their return. The task took nearly an hour, a somber duty that underscored the harsh realities of our scope. As the gunfire intensified little far from the pickup site, we were urged to expedite our efforts. Despite being fully equipped with protective gear, the stark reality of the 7 casualties made it clear that no equipment could offer true safety in such a scenario. Hearing vehicles approaching, we quickly boarded the truck with the guards and the deceased, and made our way back to the base. On the return journey, I inquired about the incident with a soldier who had been awaiting our arrival. They explained that the escort pickup had triggered an IED, resulting in the explosion that claimed the lives of all 7 soldiers in the vehicle. The remaining soldiers had to retreat to the base due to heavy gunfire, unable to retain themselves at the site. This experience was not unique. Such occurrences became a routine, and when there was a shortage of staff, it fell upon me to fulfill the necessary duties. Nightmares were a common occurrence, with visions of the deceased haunting my sleep. The vivid images of carnage were so distressing that they often led to a loss of appetite for days. Life though at risk, the team became like a family, ready to protect each other in the face of danger, even though we were not soldiers in the war zone. The camaraderie with the troops was genuine. There was no place for ego or racism. They treated my team with the utmost respect, as if we were one of their own, always giving us significance and support. A chief warrant officer often remarked, "I've completed 6 tours in Afghanistan, but I hold you and your team in higher regard than those tours. You are the true unsung heroes." And so we remain just that, the unsung heroes. End of Chapter 8. Subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for more updates on the next chapters. Thank you for listening and subscribing.